Hello, everybody. I am Rune of Orm, of the TAW War Thunder Division and one of the principal sim pilots of that division. I often get asked about what the trim settings do and their benefits, and also what trim fixation is. What a lot of pilots run into when they first try to go from real battle or arcade battle to simulator is that they find that the planes fly very erratic and very unstable. Uh, there's a good reason why, and that is because a lot of the planes in the game are actually flying out of coordination as far as their flight surfaces are concerned, their control surfaces. Uh, when you're in RB and AB, the game compensates for that and actually it takes away those aspects of the plane. One of the ones that in particular that is very bad about it is this one right here, the p40E1. It's one of the very first planes you're going to probably fly in simulator. Because of its BR, it is a 2.3, and as far as simulators go, and that means it puts it right in as the very first plane you could take in to enduring confrontation simulator battle level 2, and that's usually what everyone tries to start with, and it's actually one of the ones I recommend flying at. So in order to fix the what is perceived as the unstable nature of this plane, you're going to need to actually adjust its trim and its trim tabs, because if you notice on this model, it actually does have the trim tabs are actually modeled on this plane. Some of them are adjustable, like the ones on the rudder and stuff can actually be adjusted in flight. But what we're going to be doing is the stuff that is called the trim fixations, which are actually done by ground crew, and they make adjustments to the plane before you fly, and it will adjust the way it flies from that point on. Now, under controls, this actually works in both simplified, realistic, and full controls. Mouse aim, of course, is not available in sim, so it doesn't affect that. But here in trimming, usually when you first look at this, you're going to notice that these are usually 0. I mean, there's no keys for it. You actually have to set some key bindings for it for this to work. And the trim fixations, that's what's going to save it to the file for that particular plane. And so every time you bring that plane in, once you do the trim fixations, it will use those numbers and it will automatically set it to those trim settings. I strongly recommend that you actually set these up, because even though trim aircrafts, this button here only sets the trim to whatever you happen to have the controls at the moment. Whatever your joystick is at, that's what this is going to set it to. It is much better to adjust trim incrementally with these than to actually hit that button. Of course, reset trim will set everything down to 0. So let's get out of this. We're going to go into a test flight, because that is the only place where you can actually set trim and permanently set it to the plane. It won't do it inside any other normal game. You can actually, on a lot of the planes, you can adjust the trim in combat, but you can't actually fixate the trim. Let's go into test flight. Also, I strongly recommend whichever plane, whenever you're doing these trims on these planes, if you have the option, go for 0 bomb load. Make the build, because you're going to fly a lot like this than with bombs. You can always adjust the trim incrementally with the bomb load and then trim it back down once the bomb load is dropped, or you can make adjustments, compensate for it with the joystick movement. Now, you're also going to notice that I actually fly with a mouse and keyboard. I do not use a flight stick. A lot of people think that you have to use a flight stick for actually doing sim. You do not. I find it perfectly acceptable to fly with just the mouse and mouse keyboard. I've had to do a lot of adjustment to it, and you'll notice that it's all things where you will have to try it, work with it, and it will take some time. But anyway, Today we're actually working with trim. We'll worry about the mouse joystick later, on another video maybe. So let's go ahead and actually start up. I'm going to give a little bit of combat flap on the takedown. Alright, let's give a little bit of throttle, but not full throttle. One of the big mistakes that a lot of new pilots do. They always want to throw full throttle at the very beginning, but you don't need to. You need to actually get moving first a little bit before you throttle. You put it in more throttle. Bear in mind there'll be radio traffic, and that can't be helped, so just have to ignore it. Those of us who have been playing this game for a while, we know we've had to listen to that radio traffic so much over the years. Okay, so we're up, gears are up. Let's go. We're going to throttle back a little bit to about 80-90%, and we're going to see how this P40 flies at the beginning. Now, one of the big things you'll notice is that it doesn't feel right whenever you're flying. One, I have to have the stick pulled way back to do, because if I go down to what's considered to be neutral stick, the plane wants to fail, wants to bank left and die.
Repeat, please. Status number 1.
All of those qualities can actually be trimmed out, and we're going to do that. The other thing is, you're going to. A lot of times people will say P40 actually is that wobbleness. They feels weird. There's what's actually causing that is that the tail itself is not in line with the nose, and that is what that little indicator, that little thing right there, is called your slip indicator, or your coordinated flight indicator, depending on what type of model it is and what type of plane. All the planes have them. They may look a little different, but that actually gives you an indication of how that tail is is acting with the nose, or how the nose is acting with the tail. If they're not in coordination, when you bank, you're either the tail is kicking out to the out from sideways, called a skid, or it's dipping down below the turn, and that's called a slide or slip. We're gonna fix that, but first we're gonna actually have to fix the elevator, because having this thing dip down every time we actually try to go down to neutral stick is going to be problematic. So let's go ahead and fix that. We're going to go out here, and I'm going to start actually giving it positive rudder or positive elevator. And you will notice that I will start to be able to bring that mouse indicator closer and closer to the center, and not actually have to have it way up high.
on the swivel. We can get bounced any second in this sector. Do you copy? Over.
Alright, we're gonna probably have to adjust that again a little bit, but that's enough to actually, that's getting us close. Now, let's fix that rudder, because that skid right there is actually what's causing this thing to feel weird whenever you bank and whenever you turn. It's what's, it's kicking the side, it's kicking the tail into the plane out. To fix that particular, with it to, when that indicator's off to the left, we actually need to add positive, oh sorry, negative rudder. So usually negative, that should be close to what we need. And
You're breaking up. Say again.
now you can actually see that it is actually nice and straight in the middle.
Reception 4. Over.
Now to actually fix, now because of the rudder, we've adjusted the rudder trim, the plane's going to want to bank to the left. We'll fix that with some positive aileron, which is actually making, it was going to make the plane want to roll to the right. We'll eventually get the right combination of the two. Alright, and I think we are right there. Yep, there we go. You notice that we're not climbing too fast. We can adjust that climb by actually, if we throttle back a little bit, we can slow down our airspeed and improve that. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hit the fixation, and we're gonna permanently save those settings to the plane.
We're proceeding to target. Over.
All right, now when I bank and turn, you notice, see how much smoother it is? That's what we want. It also means that we can actually do, if we want to actually flip over and hold it, or we can actually right there. We can. We can look around. Bring it back over.
Number 3. Anything?
We want to do an element,
No,
we can.
negative. Nothing. Roger that.
Without a problem. If we want to do a split S, we can actually just roll over. Well, not too low, but and throttle back a little bit so we don't actually drive ourselves in our nose into the ground, into the water, and we can now see how smooth that is. And I'm going to show you something that's even crazier. Now that we have this plane is in coordinated flight, we're gonna throttle down. And
Come in. Loud and clear.
and a lot of pilots hardly ever do this, because if you watch them, they're always at either 100% or very close to 100%. And that is, a lot of times that's a reason is because one of the only other ways to actually compensate for an unstable plane or an uncoordinated plane in simulator is just to fly fast. But if the plane is actually in coordination, you can actually slow way down.
Number 3, what do you have? Can't see anything, sir. The coast is
And
clear.
fly just fine. Alright, now I'm gonna give it a little bit I'm gonna give it some combat flaps in just a second to actually alright, let's see. Alright, we're gonna drop some wheel. We're gonna do a little combat flaps. Now that we're going this slow, we're going to open up the canopy. And we're going to enjoy this.
Number 3, anything? No, negative, nothing. Roger that.
Because we're gonna head back to the air base and actually do a nice little landing. Hopefully, I won't wave at people. Beachgoers.
Call check, come in. Loud and clear.
And drop the gear. there we have it. Nice little takeoff, nice little flight. Everything's nice and trimmed. We're going to go ahead and rearm. And when this plane comes back in, you're going to notice that it's going to auto reset or auto bring in all those settings we just did. You can see it at the very bottom of the screen. And there we go. Ailerons 4, 8, and the rudder is at -6. And so it'll fly just like we just had it. Okay, so again, I'm Rune of Warm. You contact me through the game, or contact me through my email listed on this video. If you have any other questions, if you see me in game, please say hi. I love to talk to people and I love to fly with people. If you want to know anything more about TAL, come by the website. We're a Skull Hill Squadron that we're always looking for new members, and we would be glad to talk to you. Anyway, happy flying. See you on the next one.